All right, welcome back, mates. Crypto lovers trading. Hope everybody's doing well after 5 p.m. Kind of going through everything after the crypto conferences and all that development, some blockchain development stuff. And one of the things I had a couple questions that were posed to me were some of the metrics that I'm putting people into in terms of getting them to understand a little bit more on how they reflect behavior in things like Bitcoin and Ethereum, obviously. Those are the two tokens that have the most metrics available for you. Though there are others from like token metrics and things like that for tokenomics for individual altcoins. But whether you use Sentiment, whether you use Glassnode, whether you use CryptoQuant, whatever you want, they're primarily focused on an overall macro market view of like Bitcoin and Ethereum. Primarily, it doesn't mean they don't talk about other things, but it will help you to understand the overall crypto space. Okay. And one of those metrics that we want to look at and we focus on is exchange flows and how they are relative to behavior in Bitcoin. Now, what does that mean? The fundamental acceptance of the market is when exchange flows are low, meaning the supply of Bitcoin available on a specific change is low. What you're really getting at is the intentionality of behavior. That is really what you really want to be looking at. Okay. For example, you're a trader or maybe you're a hodler and you've held Bitcoin in your wallet for a year. Okay. Off an exchange and you move it onto an exchange. The intentionality that signals when active addresses move their Bitcoin or Ethereum onto exchanges is their intent is to sell. There's no other reason to move a token to an exchange except to either what? Right? I mean, sell is really it. Or depending on if it's DeFi, depending on what exchanges we're talking about, or whether or not they're going to use that as leverage or margin or borrow against it, all of those wonderful things that you can do in DeFi on DEXs and all that great stuff. Okay. But fundamentally, if you're taking something from your wallet to an exchange, you are signaling your intentionality and vice versa. When you take your Bitcoin off an exchange and put it into a wallet, you are signaling that you intend to hodl. That could be a week, could be a day, could be a week, could be a month, could be a year. So then you look at active addresses on how many people, how many active addresses, let's equate that to a person, okay? How many active addresses are accumulating Bitcoin in less than a month? Less than from 31 days to 365 days or greater than a year. That's the metric you always see on a lot of my Bitcoin charts, where I tell you 60% of the people are in the money in Bitcoin. 34% are out of the money, right? That's what that means. Those are active addresses based on when they bought Bitcoin, whether they're in the money. Otherwise, the IO map is another metric you can use if you're leverage trading to find supply and demand barriers. But when you look at exchange flows, is typically you would think that the lower the amount of supply on the exchange is bullish. That ultimately the bottom is in, okay, is how it's oftentimes perceived. Doesn't mean it's 100%, because right now we've got Bitcoin pushing an overbought status, okay, on the 4-hour, which means we could see a minor reversal, but you're not going to see a massive backdraft or dump because most people have moved their tokens off the exchange. So that's how you have an underlying little bit of protection provided you, okay, when you're talking about whether or not you want to enter Bitcoin today or not, or whether or not what's going to happen to Bitcoin in the next few days, okay? Conversely, if we see this down here begin to move back up, okay, then there's caution to the wind. That means people are moving now, which we'll probably see at 46,000 to 50,000. People will move more tokens back onto exchanges, which signal they may be expecting a backdraft and they're going to exit. That doesn't mean they're the catalyst, okay, for the backdraft. That it means they're anticipating the potential. So they have their tokens already there ready to sell in the event that we get a backdraft again in Bitcoin off a resistance level. And this is how you want to use exchange flows to look at the behavior of Bitcoin and Ethereum and the potential for what lies ahead in the next few days.